I just engraved my very first picture ever with my MonPort 55 watt CO2 laser. Today I'll not only share how I engraved on this laser, I'll also show you how you can design these framed pictures in LightBurn. So if it sounds like fun, stick around and watch this video. I am by no means an expert when it comes to photo engraving. I will show you how I engraved this picture, but if you want to master it and get even better at photo engraving, I do advise that you watch a YouTube tutorial on that particular subject. I will, however, teach you how to build the frame, and I'll give you a little bonus tip on how you can cut it without wasting too much material. So let's get started. This picture is the picture that my friend gave to me and asked if I could engrave. So let's just copy, paste it over here. She of course sent it in colors. So what I did was turn it to gray tone inside my photo roll. I have an iPhone, and I cropped it to a square size. You can do this with any size, but I wanted mine to be square. Also, she wanted me to make it a size, let's just hit the size over here, of 25 centimeters, which is around 10 inches, 10 by 10. Let's go back. So let's show you how I accomplished this and how I built the frame. So once you have your picture, you determine how big you want it to be. If you want to engrave it on a 10 by 10 like me, I can just go over to inches here and write 10, unlock my aspect ratio, write 10 over here. And now I have my 10 by 10 square. This is where I want to add my picture on the back of, but I do want to build the frame. So to build the frame, I will have to go back in millimeters, because I work in millimeters and not inches. But if it makes sense for you, you can make this offset in inches as well. But once you have the size you want, you go to offset shapes, and this will appear. So now you can decide how big of an offset you want. You want to go inward, and I actually think I will make a little bigger frame than I did the last time. So let's make it 1.5 centimeters in width, and I will hit OK. Make sure that the lead original objects are toggled off. So now I have my frame. Now I can take my picture and move it to the center of this square. So I could scale it down a little, and if you want to make like an inner piece over here, so you can see the wood it is engraved on, you could leave a little space between the frame and your picture. But some lasers doesn't engrave pictures very well, so if you want to hide the edge on the picture, you can do that as well. So just make it a little bigger than the edge of your frame. Once you have your picture, you want to click it and click the square, hit copy. I'll just do it over here. I always use the short keys, but hit copy and right click and paste, or Control C, Control V. Command C, Command V if you're on a Mac. Now this is my back. So I will just move this up here and let's build the frame. So I'll just delete my picture here. I don't need it anymore. So you could cut your frame out like this, it will be cut out in a square piece and you can glue everything on top. But I love to split my frame so I don't waste too much material and I get this result instead. So let's teach you how. First of all, you want the two squares to be grouped. So Control G or go down, right click and go down to group. Now you want to set this to a filled setting. It doesn't matter what color, and you can just take your line here and click fill instead. It's important that it's filled because you are going to cut this loose. So now that I have my frame, I'll just move it a little so it's easier for you to see and zoom in. Now you go up to your pencil tool and you just make a little mark over here. Let's say my line starts here. Then I'll snap it to this corner. I'll snap it to that corner. I'll just move it somewhere outside here. Make a little click here. I'll snap it to this corner. If you are afraid that it's not snapping, you could zoom way in and make total sure. I have a wheel mouse, so I can just scroll out and in. And then you make a random spot here and attach it to the first. You do the same on the other side. So snap and snap. Click here. Snap in here. Snap to this corner. And there you go. So now we want to cut these loose. And as said, it is important that you are in fills, otherwise you will not have this middle line. But I'll show you in a bit what I mean. So let's take the square, click the square that you already grouped, then you hold down Control and pick one of these. You can then go to Tools and choose Cut Shapes. I also use the shortkeys for this. So now it actually cut this part loose. See? If I wasn't in fill, I'll just show you what will happen. So I'll go back to line and then I'll take the remaining part here, click it and hold down Control, click this one. I'll go to Tools and I will hit Cut Shapes. So this is the difference because now it's an open shape. So you have to make sure that you are in filled mode if you want to achieve this. Let's go back and I will go back to fill. Take my square, take this one, and I'll just use the shortkeys. So now I have 4 frame parts. These two are ungrouped, but this one will still be grouped, so you need to right click and hit ungroup. Now in order, whoops, it wasn't ungrouped, there it is. In order to place them like I did over here, you can just take this one and if you grab the corner, you see this little symbol that will turn into this round. I can move it over here, and if I connect it to another end or sharp point, it will snap onto it. So now my middle line here is connected totally. I could leave some space, but if you want to avoid wasted material, this is a really nice way of doing so. So I have these two here, and I will take the upper and bottom. I'll go to Arrange, and I'll rotate them. Now I can do the same with these. And it doesn't really matter which order you do it in. So I'll just grab this one and make sure it snaps over here. Take the last one. Wait for my symbol to show and snap it over here. So now these are snapped. I can now take all of them, make sure that my little symbol shows up, and now it will snap to the longer side of my picture. So now I actually accomplished the same as I have over here. I can just delete this and I'll use this instead. So drag it to your laser space, or your work area. And for the engraving settings on the picture. As said, I am by no means an expert. This is actually the very first picture that I have ever engraved. I imported it in grayscale, and once you have imported it, you go to Adjust Image. And this will turn up. I engraved my picture in differ mode, I'm Danish, sorry, and by a line interval on 0.12. You can increase and decrease this. This will also increase or decrease the dpi, which are dots per inch. So the lower you'll go, the more spotted your image will be, if that makes sense. The higher we go, probably click too fast here. The higher we go, let's say we set this to 9. Sorry, it's the opposite way. The higher you go, the more pixelated your picture will be, and the lower you go, the more sharp it will turn out. So this is what I did. Also, you can play a little around with the contrast if you want to achieve different results. Also the brightness, and you can use the gamma. I'll just reset this to 0. And this one was at 1000, I think. So once you have this, you hit OK once you're satisfied. Once you're satisfied with your picture, it's time to dial in some settings. I did cut my picture and engraved it on my MonPod 55 watt, which is a CO2 laser. But the last time I used LightBurn, I had to shift it to my diode laser. So that's why these numbers are way off, because on diode lasers, you take millimeter or inches per minute. For CO2 lasers, you use millimeter or inches per second. So the way to change that is to go to Edit, go down to Settings, and in Units and Grids, you can shift this. So that's way better. So for the settings I actually used the image settings that just automatically appeared. But I will have to adjust I have to swap it back to my line settings. So on my MonPod Onyx 55 watt, I used a speed of 15 and a power of 45. Let's hit OK. And for the image, let's see, I had a minimum power of 5, a maximum power of 30, and a speed at 200. I did do a bunch of testing before I figured out what settings worked the best for me. To make sure that your laser will not be cutting down and up on these lines that are attached, here's what you do. And I have to move over to the other corner so you can see it. because we have to go down to the optimization settings, which are positioned in the right corner of your control panel. Once you open this, you have this last line that says remove overlapping lines. Before I hit it, I will actually cancel and just give you a preview so you can see what it will do. Let's say that we are done engraving the picture. Then you can see that it will go up and down and cuts all the lines that are connected 2 times. You don't want that. So let's again go into the optimization settings and toggle this one off. You can set the distance to whatever you want. I'll just leave mine here and I'll hit preview again. So now you can see that, can I make this bigger? Yeah, I can. Now you can see that instead of going over the lines 2 times, it will actually just go over them once. So hopefully this little preview makes sense. It will once you cut anyway. But that's about it. So let's show you how to assemble. So here it is, my first ever engraved picture. I'm actually really satisfied with how it did turn out. I can probably adjust something, but as a first time project, I think it was okay. After it was engraved, I took a clear acrylic spray paint. This is a matte clear coat. And once it was dry, it was a little rough on the surface. So I just took this very fine grit sanding block and just carefully moved over like this. I only did a couple of strokes like I did now, and that's enough. I don't want to sand it too much because you might risk to sand off your engraving. For the frame parts, I used black chalk paint and a foam brush to apply it. All that's left to do now is to glue these frame parts on top of my photo. So for that, I'll just be using regular wood glue and I'll align everything to the edge of the picture. The reason why I'm using wood glue is because this doesn't dry as fast as other type of glue. So I will have to maybe change my placing a little to make them fit. You could have cut this frame in one piece, but I hate wasting a lot of material, so I actually like to cut it like this. So I do have glue on all the edges, so once you have them positioned where you want them to be, you want to hold them down. I have a ton of these small clamps, so I'll just use them. And that's really it. So now I just have to wait for it to dry and I can give it to my friend who ordered this picture. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. Please subscribe to my channel because I will have a lot more videos coming up. If you have any suggestions for projects that I should make or show you how to do, please drop a comment below. I always love to help out and show what I'm making.